Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us to welcome an alumni of our PledgeLA Founders Fund Program, Craig Bowers. Craig is the founder of South Los Angeles Brewing Company, and he will be joining us today to talk about his experience in the program, how he has been doing with his business ever since, and also to give some tips and advice for any founders who want to apply to our 2022 cohort. I think he's joining us. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us today to talk about your experience in the PledgeLA Founders Fund Program, kind of like what's been going on with your business ever since. And I'm super excited to just jump into it, if that's cool.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So real quick, my name is Maya. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Grid 110. I've been with the Grid team since April of 2021. And now I'll hand it over to you to give an intro about yourself and your business, South LA Brewing Company.
Sure. My name is Craig Bowers, as you just introduced. I am the CEO of South Los Angeles Beverage Company. So we have participated in the Grid 110 program twice, and the second time being the PledgeLA program. We are currently building a 24,000 square feet craft beverage incubator, production, and packaging facility in South Central Los Angeles. And prior to us opening, we've released 4 different beers under the People's Republic of South Central brand, which will be our core beer brand at the facility. Although so we're South Los Angeles Beverage Company because we're going to be making a wide variety of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. So PRSC is just the first brand that we've unveiled as a part of our overall portfolio.
I see. Okay, awesome. And I also understand that you've had like some great success in community impact and things like that. So I'm excited to talk to you about all of that. First off, I would just like to hear really about, like, kind of take me back to a year ago, a little over a year ago when you were in the program, the PledgeLA Founders Fund Program. And then, like, fast forward to now, what kind of like growth and progress have you seen, and what were some of the things and aspects of the program that help you achieve that?
Well, I think, the program is valuable because it really, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, most people have day jobs as well, right? They have a vision, but you need income at the same time, right? So what the Pledge LA program really gave me is a structure, right? So I'm required to participate in these sessions. I have homework assignments, right? So it really put me in a position where I was constructively thinking about this business vis-a-vis the curriculum of the program, right? So even if there was things that I've already thought about on my own, now I have the input of the instructors, I have the input of my fellow participants in the program, right? The mentors, the guest speakers, right? And so you're dedicating this time thinking about your business and actively working on your business, right? While all of this information is coming in as a result of participating in the program. So it's a really good like combination, right? So not only am I felt like it made my business stronger from the standpoint of like, oh, I didn't think about that, or let me refine that, or if something I said didn't really land the way that I wanted it to land, right? Or something that I thought was very important, but some of my peers may have thought that isn't really that important. I was able to kind of rearrange my thinking and, I think create a better product, better company ultimately as a result of participating in the program.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. I think I totally agree how you kind of mentioned like being able to get this structure, and it seems like it's really also kind of a support system for you to like have people to like lean on, but also just like bounce ideas off of and things like that. Gives a lot of structure to your journey as a founder when you said just kind of going through it alone or with your team. It's not always easy to navigate that on your own. Um,
Right.
yeah.
And I think for people to know, you know, you're whatever you if you participate in this program, like you're a cohort, right?
Mhm.
But it's not like you could just get dropped after the program ends, right? There's a whole alumni infrastructure, right? And now I'm joined with all the companies that have participated in any previous cohort, right? So this is just kind of the first step in the journey. It's kind of like you're now a part of the club, right? And then you're able to do in that club thereafter is also, has a real profound effect on the business. So my website was designed by another company that went through the Grid 110 program, right? I have collaborated with other companies that were participating in the Grid 110 program, right? So the alumni network is as valuable, right? And these are companies that weren't in my cohort, right? I was just, I said, hey, I'm looking for someone to potentially design my website, and I was able to find those people through, the Grid 110 tools, and they were a company that I graduated from a previous cohort. So that's another cool part of this whole aspect is it's not just the particular program you're in, you're also kind of part of a whole group, if you will.
Yeah, 100%. I love how you say how that's kind of like only the first step getting into the club because getting access to that network of founders is huge and it doesn't just end after those 3 months. It's, if anything, that's the beginning of the end. So thanks for pointing that out. My next question actually has to do with the grant that you received through the PledgeLA Founders Fund Program, that being a form of non-dilutive capital that PledgeLA was able to provide for the founders. How did that money help advance your business growth, and why is capital like that really important for founders?
Well, non-dilutive capital is always important to founders, but what I would say is, my project is on a very large scale. So this is a $6 million project, right? So my legal bills are just crazy, right? So, um, so any capital that you can get that allows you to move the business forward is extremely valuable, right? Particularly capital that, for the most part, doesn't have strings attached other than your, strong participation in the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was very valuable for us just from the standpoint of like, again, allowing me to focus on participating in a program and not as worried about, what I need to hustle through these next round of bills that I have to get through in order to advance this project, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have architects, I have structural engineers, I have mechanical engineers, I have deposits, I have lawyers, accountants, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
a large amount of people I need in order to move something of this size forward. And so the capital was extremely valuable in a cumulative effect of, of being able to allow us to advance this project forward.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super important. And kind of switching gears, I love what you've had to say about the community of founders, your experience working alongside the peers in the cohort. Now I'm kind of wondering, what was your experience like working with the Pledge LA / Annenberg Foundation and Grid 110 teams?
So I'm a little bit of a weird case. So I was the inaugural cohort of the Grid 110 South Central program.
Mm-hmm.
Then I pretty much immediately transitioned out of that cohort into the Pledge LA cohort, and I guess I was the first cohort of the Pledge LA founders, right?
Yep, you
Uh,
were.
so two firsts, in the Grid 110 Pledge LA family, and so the programs were different, but they were complementary, and so it was really important to see kind of like the different points of views. Um, what I participated in my original cohort was more idea to I to P. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'm
Idea
lost.
to prototype.
I'm
No
sorry.
worries.
Um, and then when I participated in the PledgeLA cohort, I took it. I had advanced my business to the point where we were saying, well, we're a real business. Like we are a business. It's no longer an idea, right?
Mhm.
Like this is a business because our first beer came out immediately after we finished the I2P South Central cohort, right? And so by the time I started the Pledge LA cohort, we had already released 2 beers, right? So we went from hypothetical, right? Even though there was a lot of, work getting, to that point, to now we actually have product in the market. We're doing these things. And how does that impact, because you can design anything you want, but once you're in the real world, what changes do I need to make, or what are the things that I didn't consider? And so when I participated in the Pledge LA program cohort, um, my point of view had kind of like had changed a little bit because now I'm operating a real business with revenue and expenses, and it's no longer just an idea.
Mhm. Totally. It's kind of cool too to see how it kind of like grew with you. Like you said, both complemented each other, and it seemed like it just found you at the right time in your stage of growth in your business.
Absolutely.
And moreover on that, we're kind of wondering what are some of the biggest perks of being a part of the program? Like, for any founders watching who are thinking of applying or wondering like what they can get out of it, what would you say were some of the biggest perks?
I think the biggest perks are, again, when you're an entrepreneur, everything's in your head, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so feedback is extremely valuable, but feedback that's constructive, feedback that's from other people that are either going through the same thing that you're doing or
Mm-hmm.
have done what you're doing. So that's feedback from my peers who are participants in the program, feedback from the mentors that we were able to have access to as a result of participating in the program, feedback from the staff, right, who works with cohort after cohort of individuals. They've seen pretty much everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of valuable insight there. So the cumulative effect of all of that feedback results in my opinion, in a much better product overall, right? And much better business overall, right? Because you have a lot more eyeballs than your sales or your immediate business partners looking at what it is you're doing and helping you find your way through certain things where you may not have a tremendous amount of expertise, right? A lot of my cohort participants, some might be really good at the product side, but not really great on the marketing side, or people may have a business that's in existence, but not really have a firm understanding of how to raise capital against that business, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's all sorts of places in which we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Participating in a program like this kind of rounds those things out, right? So it helps you, again, to have a more well-rounded business in which people are, that you would want to think, has less flaws, you know what I mean, is more battle ready, it's more ready for the road. And I think that's an important aspect of participating.
Yeah, definitely. And I love how you make the point of like it's really easy as an entrepreneur to just get inside your own head. And when it's only you looking at it or the people immediately around you, it's hard to like get different perspectives and have like a more holistic viewpoint on everything. So I'm really glad to bring that up. And lastly, I was wondering if you have any advice or tips for founders who are thinking of applying to our 2022 PledgeLA Founders Fund cohort. As you may know, our applications are now open. They will be closing April 10th. So we have a lot of prospective founders, attending our info sessions, wanting to apply. So really, like, what advice would you give them, whether it's in the application or how to get the most out of the program? Any tips or tricks you can offer?
Well, what I would say is, I think you just need to approach this with a certain amount of honesty as to where you are, right? So, um, I don't think that the people that are making the selections are concerned as much with, you know, where you're at, so much more as where, how you're approaching this process, right? And, um, how thoughtful have you been, what's your approach, right? And I think being very honest about that. I think oftentimes when people apply for these things, they try and put like the best light on their stuff, right? Which isn't, this isn't a sales job so much as it is a reality of, where you're at, you know what I mean? And what have you done? And, but also honestly taking an assessment and saying, here's some areas where I need help, right? Or here's some areas where I don't really have expertise and I'm looking to participate in this program, to help me work through some of those issues. I referred um, my friend Kelly Jackson at Hank's Mini Market, where we sell our beer. I suggested that Kelly might have interest in participating in the program, and she is now a part of the current cohort, right? So,
Yeah.
um, you know, and Kelly is an up and running business, you know what I mean? Like, be more real than my business is at this point in time, right? So there's a lot of things that I learned from Kelly, as a woman who's out there operating a business. But at the same time, there were things that I thought would be valuable for her, um, to learn, as a result of this program. And I think, for everyone out there, you know, we no one knows everything. So it's just a really great idea as how you present yourself, saying this is where we're at, but also this is how we feel we're going to be able to take advantage of the resources that our participation in the program, our potential participation in the program offers, right? So how are you going to avail yourselves of these resources and what are you going to do with them? I think is an equally important part of your application to this is where I'm at, but this is also if I'm able to participate in this program, this is how that's going to be able to help us take this to another level. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes complete sense. And I actually, I don't know if you're able to see the comments, but Kelly is joining us right now, Hank's
Oh,
Mini
that's
Market.
awesome.
She's showing a bunch of love down there. So props to you for the recommendation too, because she has been so amazing in the current cohort. I've loved seeing her growth and everything she's had to offer for our peers. So yeah, that's really what it's about. And to finish off, I would love to hear from you if there's anything with South Los Angeles Brewing Company that we should be on the lookout for. Anything you want to kind of like take a minute to plug right now? The floor is yours.
I appreciate that. So we're in an interesting phase right now. We are hope to have our financial raise completed by the end of April. And then we have also been in a multi-year process with the city of Los Angeles on getting all of the permits required to actually build this thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so right now we're also on schedule to hopefully have those permits by the end of April as well. So we're transitioning into a next phase in which will be construction in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of inflation and shipping and all sorts of other drama. So that's going to be a long, complicated process. But we're also transitioning out of where we've been for the past year, which is we released 4 beers, in which 100% of the proceeds went towards buying Chromebooks for children living in South Los Angeles. So unfortunately, our last beer is still available. It's available at Hank's Mini Market. Go there and buy it. So once that last beer has been sold out, we're just solely focused on our build out and construction, and then we'll resume the manufacturing of beer once our site is opened up and a bunch of other beverage products. So this is a year of transition for us, so basically going out of, off the paper, off of the minimum viable products, and now we're actually finalizing our raise and we're actually building this thing, and then we go to the next level of, day-to-day operations. So
Yeah, totally. Well, it's great to hear kind of like what you have been up to, and just reconnect. I think there's a lot that you have come a really far way, but then you also know where you're going. And overall, just awesome to have this conversation with you and hear about how great the founders community has been. Um, so, lastly, I just want to remind everyone that the applications for the PledgeLA Founders Fund Program 2022 cohort will be open until April 10th. We do have another info session coming up on March 29th, and that will be with alumni founder Shiloh. She's the founder of Compliant. So join us for that as well to ask any questions, meet the Grid 110 and PledgeLA teams, and all of the links are in our bio, and you can also head over to the PledgeLA team's page in their bio as well.
yeah, and everyone should, tune in and see Shiloh. She's a total rock star and has done some amazing, amazing stuff. And again, she participated in the cohorts, both cohorts that I participated in as well. So she's definitely a rock star and has a lot of cool insights.
Awesome, cool. Well, that's all for today. Thank you again, Craig, for joining us. And everyone, go buy beer at Hank's Mini Market.
All right, have a nice weekend, everyone.
Bye.